Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we're going to paint this really relaxing and easy seascape. And if you would like a real-time version of this, it's a free class I'll be teaching over at michaels.com/classes on June 14th. There'll be a link in the video description where you can sign up for free. And if you enjoy my classes and wouldn't mind leaving a review while you're there, I would really appreciate it. But either way, I hope you'll join me for the live class. And here you'll get to see a little preview of when I designed it. So I started off just using a T-square to draw a horizon line. That's pretty much what I'll do to begin a painting. And now I am using the paint from the Derwent Line and Wash set to do the sky. And I'm using a combination of that really bright blue that it has. And you can see the little swatch up in the upper right-hand quarter of the screen of how this paper really looks. And I kind of toned that bright blue down with a little bit of those kind of grayish and greenish tones, the kind of the soft green and gray. And then just blotted out some clouds. And I did use a Graphatint pencil to put some color down into the sand, and then I realized I didn't need to do that because I could do it all with the pan paints here. I polled the audience to ask what I should use, and I got so many different answers, from Graphatint pan paints to Derwent Drawing pencils to Inktense to just about everything that Derwent offered, honestly. But the Graphatint and Inktense were definitely the most popular products, and the people are really interested in the blocks. And the blocks are great, but if you're not sure what you want, the blocks can be kind of like a very specific offering. And the Line and Wash set, actually, it has some Graphatint and it has some Inktense and it has some pastel pan paints. So it gives you a really nice variety. And the thing that I also like about these paints is that they're very forgiving on less expensive paper. So I'm working on a Strathmore greeting card here. It's a cellulose wood pulp based watercolor greeting card. And I thought these would be fun to paint because one, it's a really easy, summery scene, but also Father's Day is coming up, and it'll also work in whatever sketchbook you have. Now, I did take a Graphatint pencil here to draw some of the grasses into the damp paint. That's not really necessary that you do that, but I was just kind of playing around and figuring what supplies I wanted to use while also trying to keep it as budget friendly as possible. So that's why I pretty much after that just started to just stick to the Line and Wash set, because you can get everything you need in one kit. It comes with pens, it comes with the paints, and then a small set of the Derwent Drawing pencils if you want to use them at the end. I think would be a really good option for this class. And this is a beginner level class, so I hope that if you join us, maybe you get some friends and family involved. I know kids may be out of school at that point, June 14th, so it's a nice project you could do with your teens and even younger children, and you can share the same paints, or they could even use their Crayola watercolors or whatever they happen to have and like. So it doesn't have to be using the Line and Wash set. If you did this with traditional watercolors, you'd have a more vibrant effect. But I like the vintage look that we get from the Derwent Line and Wash set. Now, I did have a couple people ask me to use the new Derwent watercolors, but I don't have them yet, and they're not available yet on Michaels. So for these free Michael classes, I have to use products that you can pick up at Michaels online anyway. So obviously use what you have, as in with any of my classes, but I thought this would be kind of fun to play with, and I haven't used it in a while, so, and it was. I do enjoy this set quite a bit. Now, you may be thinking, Lindsay, I have Graphatint pan paints, and I have the Inktense pan paints and the pastel pan paints. Do I need this set? No, these are all of these colors you would also find in the full sets of those other products. So if you already have those, the only reason you might want to pick this up is if you like to do urban sketching and you want to have them all in one palette, but it's absolutely not necessary. All of the paints are available open stock, which is nice. So if you just want to try a couple colors, or if you ran out, you can always just buy one color. You don't have to rebuy the whole entire set, which is really, really nice. I don't think Michaels sells the pans open stock, but they are out there from other vendors if you want to buy them. Now, something that's interesting about the Graphatint, because it has graphite in there, do you notice how much the color shifted when it dried? That's because it dries opaque. The Inktense product is kind of like a gouache, really, in how it dries. The Graphatint has graphite in it, which makes it more opaque. And because of those properties, this will work on paper, and we've talked a lot about it on the channel about paper sizing going bad, like having sketchbooks, and before you get to the end of it, the paper starts acting weird. this paint will work on the weird paper, which is another thing that I am noticing so much in the art community when I talk to other artists saying that their even expensive cotton watercolor papers are not holding up. They're not lasting that long. So that's another reason I want to use this, because it just takes out the worry of, well, what if this student has cotton paper, and what if this student has cellulose paper? What if this person has a budget paper? This works really well on a variety of different things. Now, I had used a T-square against the board that I had taped my paper to, and it was bugging me the entire time I was painting that my horizon was crooked. So I decided to go in there with a pencil and kind of fix it a little bit. It was because I didn't use a T-square against the fold of my card. I used it on the paper. So maybe draw your line with a pencil before you tape it down and use a T-square against that, or measure. It doesn't have to be a T-square. I do like a small clear T-square though. I use them all the time. The ones I use, I got on Amazon from Mr. Pen, and you got a 3-pack for like $7. So I can have one upstairs on my fun art desk, one downstairs in my studio where I work, and then one in my travel bag when I'm teaching, because I'll like zip around and do horizons for students if need be, or let them do it. So because this paint dries opaque, I recommend using the fine liners that come in the set, the Derwent line makers, over your artwork to get a really nice crisp dark line. Now, I say the paint dries opaque. If I was to do line work on my watercolor paper and then paint over them, I'd still be able to see the line work, but it would be very muted. So by using my line makers last, it's going to go on top of my my paint, and it's going to look nice and crisp. Now, if you don't have waterproof pens, maybe you're like, Lindsay, I don't know if I'm really down for that. I don't know if I like that supply or not. I think I'm going to use what I have. But maybe you don't have a fine liner that's waterproof, but you've got a felt tip pen in your junk drawer. As long as you're going on top of the work and you're not going to paint on top of it again, that's absolutely fine. You could even use a ballpoint pen for that matter and not have to worry about it running. If you have like scrapbooking pens that might not be waterproof, they will work fine. So that's another reason that's kind of nice to fine line at the end. And also, sometimes I don't know if I want to add fine lining to it. And sometimes I'm not sure if I like the fine lining. In this case, I do. I feel like it really gives it this vintage look that I'm really happy with. But other times, I'm not sure if I want the fine lining. So waiting to the end to fine line works well for me. Plus, I'm always kind of refining and redrawing as I go. I always start with kind of a looser composition and then tighten it up as I go. So that gives me that flexibility to do that. And that's how I work with the alcohol markers too, which a lot of times people will fine line at first. I like to kind of just charge right in with the markers and figure it out as I go along. And then at the end, when I'm committed to my lines, I will do the fine lining. The seagulls were looking a little rough for a while, I have to completely admit there. I had looked at a reference photo of seagulls from Unsplash because I didn't want just the generic V's in the background. I wanted some interesting expressions, and boy, they were interesting for a while. But the fine liner, man, you can solve a multitude of sins. You can go in and put some shorelines in there that kind of make the unshore lines fall in place. But I like how that came out. I'm going to add a little more fine liner to those two little birds in the background, but I love that grouping of 5 and how it feels like they're kind of playing and diving and fishing, and I thought it's kind of neat. And it's up to you how dark you want to go and how detailed you want to go. If you are using fine liners, make sure you have fully dry paper before you try to use them, or you will ruin your pens. That's one thing that I try to remember every time I'm doing watercolor and doing fine lining on top. You've got to have dry paper, or you'll ruin the pens. I don't know what it does to them, but it's like it just makes them stop working. I decided I wanted some more shadows in the grasses, so I just mixed up I think I did the Payne's Gray and some of the natural brown. Those are both Inktense colors, and I just went in, kind of blobbed it in with a big brush, and then went in with a finer kind of liner-like brush, and just kind of dragged up some wisps to kind of taper them in, so it felt like that clump of grass was causing the shadows. And I also think it's really pretty to put the cast shadows from the grass kind of like cascading across the sand, because when you have the shadows cascading across lumpy sand, you can wiggle the shadows so it really shows that texture of the sand. And when you combine that with like flicking on paint with a toothbrush and maybe blotting with a paper towel, you can get a really nice texture without any fancy tools. Now at this stage, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do anything else to it, but I did have a few requests for Derwent Drawing pencils, and so I know a lot of people have them, right? So I thought it might be kind of fun for those that have them and want to do this to use a little of the Derwent Drawing pencils. So I did retape my edges, so I didn't have to fuss about that, and kind of did a little bit of side coloring with one of the like yellow ochre colors, and kind of went in with the yellow ochre and some of the greens, and these are all from the 12 set to just enhance the grasses a bit because they were just kind of like a dull dead grass, and also just to, you know, brighten up the birds. And you could even add a little to the water of that ink blue if you want to. I think that's what it's called. So yeah, colored pencils are so good for just adding little accents at the end if you just want to zhuzh things up or intensify a color a bit. And if you like colored pencils, I just launched the Creative Colored Pencil course, and it's 50% off for the launch special until May 11th. So hopefully this goes up before then and you can take advantage of the sale if you want to. But I'll put a link to that in the video description as well if you're interested. And then just a little bit of blue in the water. I don't know if that helped it or not, but I put it there anyway. And I signed my name with a pen, and there we go. We're going to call that a day. And I hope you come to the free class over at michaels.com/classes. There will be a link to that in the video description where you can sign up. And I thank you so much for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.